AITA because we considered giving up our parental rights? Are we the a-holes because we have considered giving up our rights to our son? I posted our story earlier, it got a lot of traction and it was overwhelming, so I deleted it, but my husband wants his and our story to be known, so this is the repost, with a little more details for context. This is lengthy, so bear with me. I, 28F, and my husband, 35M, have been together for 4 years now, married for 2. He has a daughter, 11F, and a son, 7M, from a previous relationship. I have a daughter, 8F, from a previous relationship as well, and then we have one child together, 1F. When we first got together, everything was great, our kids bonded very well together, his ex and him were very good at communicating and co-parenting. Shortly after my husband and I got married, co-parenting went downhill. Anytime I tried to reach out, there was conflict from his ex. She often started arguments about me not being the kid's stepmom, not allowing me to communicate issues about them, etc. Ever since the day I met my stepkids, I have treated them as my own. I come from a broken home and I know how hard that change is. Now his son, 7M, was the youngest before our baby came along. He is his mother's prized possession, and she often treats him much younger than his age. For example, she still assists him with showers, helps him get dressed, he sits in the bathroom with her while she bathes, and only refers to him as baby boy, whereas at our house we are trying to teach the older kids more independence, like basic chores, getting their own cereal, getting ready for school without constant direction. Now the problem is, our son does not agree with this. He often talks in a baby voice, throws tantrums if he doesn't get his way, or gets violent. As time went on, we noticed very strange/scary signs from him, such as attempting to suffocate our cats in a plastic bag, hitting his sisters, breaking and throwing things, cursing at teachers, etc. We put him in therapy, but it has done nothing. His mom believes he is ADHD and put him on medication. At first it just made him sleepy, but eventually wore off and now back to normal. Now fast forward a couple years, my husband and I have our baby. This is when our son really started acting up, as well as his mother. One night our son was speaking in his baby voice, so we asked him to stop and talk like a big boy. This enraged him to the point where he went to his room and started destroying all of his toys, throwing them out the window, punching the walls and screaming. My husband went in to see what he was doing and told him he needs to stop. Our son responded by cursing at his father and attempting to hit him. My husband then spanked him, told him to knock it off, and we went on with our night. A few days later his mom comes to pick him and his sister up. I share the events of the other night with her and she hears he got spanked, or hit in her words, and stormed out. Needless to say, a three-way text battle happened between us adults and ends up on the topic of her stating I need to stay in my lane and she can have my husband back whenever she wants. My husband laughed at this and said absolutely not. 1 hour later, we have 2 police officers at our door responding to a child abuse allegation. My husband explains the situation, but since he did admit to spanking our son, he ultimately gets arrested and charged with 4th-degree DV. A protection order is put in place for our son, and we lose contact for 5 months. After countless court dates, we had to come to an agreement with the state as we didn't have the money to go to trial. The agreement was 12 months of no criminal activity, which was super easy as my husband has a clean record, and he even worked in daycare most of his early 20s, which is where he met his now ex. After we got our son back, things went back to normal, or so we thought. Little did we know any time he was grounded, or told no, he was going back to his mother's house and claiming he was abused. He has told CPS and police he has been starved, choked out, thrown, beaten, and while nobody has ever witnessed a bruise or literally any neglect, an investigation was opened. 3 days before the 12-month mark of the agreement, we had a knock at our door. My husband answered it and was drug out by his shirt, and 12 SWAT officers stormed into my house, as his ex told them he was very violent, that we had firearms, and that it's possible he would hold our 1-year-old hostage. We were told he is being arrested for allegedly throwing our son into the counter, choking him out and dragging him to his room because he wasn't ready for school. In reality, our son refused to stop watching TV and get dressed, so he lost video games after school because he made us run late. There was no throwing, spanking, choking or anything of the sorts. Another no-contact order was placed and we are going on just shy of a year without our son. We were investigated by CPS, they came to our home multiple times and interviewed the girls, and eventually left us alone and deemed us safe parents, and even offered to testify for us in court. After obtaining therapy and medical records as well as CPS notes, we have learned his ex has also claimed he abused and harassed her as well, and that her goal is full custody and child support. We also learned she had our son diagnosed with PTSD and told him he suffers from trauma inflicted by his father. His daughter has asked us to move in with us full-time as she is angry with her mom and brother, and has even talked to our lawyer and said none of this has ever happened. The kicker is his ex claims that the police reached out to her and CPS reached out to her. She never admits she's the one that did this even though we have seen the interviews and reports. Now obviously we want to go to trial to prove my husband's innocence, but with that also includes our son coming home again. I am so scared to have him back. Anytime someone knocks on my door it sends me into a panic attack. What happens when he gets grounded or we tell him no again? For the last year he has lived with his mother who believes he walks on water and ignores the behavior, stating he's just a baby. We know our son needs help, mentally as well as a different therapist, but if we go against what he wants or what his mother agrees with, who knows what will happen. We know we have to protect our girls, so are we the a-hole if we considered parting ways to protect ourselves and our girls? Edit to add. At our son's last therapy appointment he admitted that he feels a little bad because this was all a big prank to get back at dad for taking away video games.